Welcome to Beyond Bars, Stories of Liberation. I'm your host, Christiane Rios. The podcast centers on the voices, stories, and resilience of women who have lived through incarceration and are now redefining, rebuilding, and reclaiming their lives on the outside. In each episode, we sit down with formerly incarcerated individuals, advocates, and community leaders to discuss the challenges women face, the systems they've navigated, and the dreams they're pursuing. This isn't about incarceration, it's about possibility, policy, and the power of second chances. Each week, we step beyond the statistics and into real stories of struggling, healing, and hope. We sit down with women who've survived incarceration and are now rewriting the narrative, building careers, raising families, and advocating for justice and dignity. Not just for themselves, but for the countless others still inside. Rather than defining formerly incarcerated women by their past convictions, we center on their growth and the powerful journeys they have taken since re-entering society. Our focus is on who they are becoming, not who they once were. Today's episode focuses on what happens after release, the invisible hurdles, and the quiet heroism of reentry. We'll explore the emotional and systematic challenges that follow incarceration, especially for mothers, women who must parent while navigating stigma, instability, and loss. Isabella Solomon was born and raised in Los Angeles, and she's still currently a resident. After serving her 27th month sentence, she faced a vast number of challenges reintegrating into society, from job applications to housing.
I think the hardest part would be just the stigma. Maybe, this is the only place since I've gotten out to where I don't really feel judged. To where it's when I first got out before working here, I applied everywhere. And it's oh, you're great. We love you. You'd be a great fit. And then, okay, well, we're just going to do the background check and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. Oh, unfortunately, we're going with somebody else. And it's can you tell me why? Just yesterday, you're oh my God, when can you start? Oh, because I have a felony.
Employment discrimination like this is far too common, making it almost impossible for returning citizens, especially women, to build balanced lives after prison. Isabella has now been home for over a year and is advocating for better support networks that make job opportunities and mental health care more accessible. Isabella also shares the deeply personal experience of being in postpartum while incarcerated, as well as the lack of medical care and dignity that came with it.
I was actually 3 months postpartum when I turned myself in. So I think that in itself, all the changes your body's going through to where you're already a mess. I was lactating, which again, I tried not to because I'm I know I'm going to prison, so why even try? But that's all he wanted. That's the only way I could feed him. So going in, I tried weaning him off a few weeks before. Horrible. No health care inside either.
Just let that sink in. Women are expected to navigate the trauma of incarceration while being pregnant, and more often than not without the medical attention they may urgently need. Despite the odds, Isabella is reshaping her life. She's a full-time mom to 2 boys, aged 9 and 2. Her youngest child was born just months before she began serving her prison sentence. It was a painful separation that shaped much of her re-entry journey while working, going to school, and advocating for change. Faced with impossible choices between survival and legality, Isabella made a desperate decision, one that is driven not by malice, but by a mother's determination to provide for her children, when she felt like there was no other option. Like so many women in poverty, she was caught up in a system that punished her struggles rather than addressing the root causes.
I wanted to be able to give them everything. Even though I was still working and still going to school, it wasn't enough. So I found an opportunity to where I could do more. I was trying to find an easy way to make ends meet, which honestly turned into the hardest decision I probably could have ever made.
And she's doing precisely that. Isabella is now working with the Anti-Recidivism Coalition, a movement aimed to end mass incarceration and build a more equitable future for all. She is working amongst other activists on a bill that supports incarcerated mothers during pregnancy and postpartum recovery.
The first thing, which is actually coming true pretty soon, was I wanted to be part of the group that worked on a bill And it just so happens to be that this bill that I'm actually going to be giving my testimony for and co-sponsoring is for a women's bill for women who are either pregnant or postpartum in prison, which is just ironic. So
The bill she is currently working on is titled AB 923. What it does is a pregnant or postpartum defendant would be allowed to submit a written request to the court asking to delay the start of their sentence. If granted, this stay would apply while the defendant is being held in county jail at any time during their pregnancy or postpartum recovery period. For more information on the bill, you can go to the Anti-Recidivism Coalition Program's website at antirecidivism.org. Like many survivors, Isabella has turned to creative expression as a way of therapy and part of her healing.
I never knew how much, how peaceful that made me, painting and writing, drawing, and then also helping people.
According to the Prison Policy Initiative, women are more likely to be parents of minor children, 58%, more likely to be single parents, and more likely to have been living with their children prior to their imprisonment, making it more likely that incarceration would uproot their children and lead to termination of parental rights. Just like Isabella, Dawn Garcia is a mother, a student, and a community leader. She's preparing to transfer to a university from a community college with multiple acceptances in hand. Her story is both heartbreaking and deeply inspiring.
I currently have I have 6 kids total. 2 of my kids passed away. 1 of my kids passed away during 4 months into my 6-year term when I got sent to jail. And I was an addict for 20-something years. In 2021, when my second son passed away, I realized that I had to do something different. So I enrolled myself back in school. I'm graduating in June.
In just a few weeks, Dawn will receive her associate's degree and begin the next chapter of her academic journey. She's officially transferring to Cal State LA, where she'll be studying sociology, a field that aligns directly to her lived experience and her passion for helping others.
Yes, so I currently go back inside the prisons, and I share my story, and I help facilitate groups, and I just give other people that have been in the same shoes as me hope.
With compassion and courage, Dawn uses her story as a source of strength, not only for herself, but also for others navigating the same path, and her vision keeps growing.
Big hopes is I want to start my own nonprofit. So we're in the process of that, and we're in the process of creating our own curriculums.
Dawn wants to provide a safe space for individuals that may have nowhere to go for help by creating her own nonprofit organization. From surviving addiction and unimaginable loss to leading others towards healing, Dawn is living proof that it's never too late to make a change in your life.
Change is good. I know a lot of people are fear of change, but change is good, and the world is so much brighter if you just do something you've never done before and just take that leap of faith and see what the world has to offer you.
Dawn's story reminds us that pain doesn't have to define us. It can only fuel us. Through courage, support, and a belief in what's possible, individuals can build a future they never thought they'd see. Daishauna Smith also carries the same spirit, a mother, a survivor, and a woman determined to break the cycle. Daishauna reflects on a past that was shaped by peer pressure, addiction, and the streets, a path that had led to incarceration and a deeply strained relationship with her daughter, who is now 21.
I had her at 15. I turned 16 the next month, and me and my daughter relationship was kind of, tragic because being that our age was so close, and then I was running the street so much.
Before prison, Daishauna believed that things between her and her daughter were good. That was until she heard the hard truth from her daughter's perspective.
Before I went to prison, me and my daughter relationship was good. I thought it was good, but when I talked to her about it, she told me that it really wasn't too good because I was in and out of her life because I was running the streets and chasing gangs and, using drugs and, living the lifestyle that I wasn't supposed to live and not being there for her as a mother.
The regret weighed heavily on Daishauna, especially behind bars. However, that time away gave her clarity and a deepened desire to do better.
I wanted to be there for my daughter, so not being there for my daughter was very embarrassing for me, and it made me feel like I wanted to, after I got out of prison, I wanted to prove to her that I could make a better life for her.
She felt the need to grow from her mistakes, and Daishauna knew that she must lead by example, not just for herself, but for her daughter to choose a better path.
It showed me where I went wrong and where I didn't want to go back to, and where I wanted to show my daughter not to go, not to follow my footsteps, to show her that education is is the most important thing in life, and not chasing drugs and gangs and following in friends and different things, in the streets.
Her daughter was her biggest inspiration to push for change.
What inspired me was my daughter always telling me that she didn't want to be like me. So what inspired me was just to show her that I could do better.
Their stories aren't just powerful, they're urgent. They remind us that justice isn't just about time served. It's about the opportunity being restored, dignity protected, and voices heard. If you're moved by what you heard today, consider supporting organizations like the Anti-Recidivism Coalition and local reentry programs. Change doesn't happen in isolation or overnight. It happens when we show up, speak up, and stand together. Thanks for listening to Beyond Bars, Stories of Liberation. I'm your host, Christiane Rios. Tune into the next episode as we continue to explore the stories of strength, survival, and the power of second chances. Be sure to hit the follow button and subscribe to get notified about the newest episodes. Until next time, stay inspired, stay informed, and keep fighting for change.